Hi everyone. So welcome to Startup Hack, building an AI chatbot, organized by Skip Entrepreneurship and in collaboration with BotDistrikt and Bus Uncle. So hi, my name is Natalie and I'm from the Skip team, and very nice to have you guys all join us today. So yeah, Startup Hack is just one of the many programs we have here at Skip, and I hope this session will be very informational and educational for all of you. Here are our speakers for today. So Abhilash is the CEO of BotDistrikt and Yin Yin is the COO of BotDistrikt, an AI chatbot and voice app platform developed with a strong empathy for user experience design. And they're also both creators of the very well-loved Bus Uncle chatbot, which I'm sure that all of you guys know. Yeah, so I'm sure they'll tell us a little bit more about their projects and what they do in their sharing. So thank you both for joining us today. Please take it away.
So hey guys, so I'm Abhilash and this is Yin Yin, and so we're the founders of the Bus Uncle chatbot as well as the BotDistrikt platform. So for this session, we'll just share with you we got a slide deck, so we'll just share it, and through the slide deck, we'll introduce a bit about what we do, as well as the hands-on workshop on building your own chatbot. So let's just give it a go. So Yin Yin will actually kick it off.
So we started off with Bus Uncle, and eventually down the road we developed into BotDistrikt. So before we begin, you can join our BotDistrikt community Facebook group through this link. I'll just leave it here for a while. And in this link, once you join our group, you'll be able to ask us questions directly. So we'll be checking on the group every day. This group is relatively new. So our platform is also relatively new. I'll talk about it a bit more in the next slides. So what we're going to do today is first we're going to share with you a definition of a chatbot, a bit more about how Bus Uncle started and how Bus Uncle transformed into BotDistrikt. And after that, we'll start building your own chatbot. So a definition of chatbot is a computer program designed to stimulate a conversation with humans over the internet. So I'm sure most of you have an idea of what a chatbot is like. If you have issue with Singtel customer service, sometimes they ask you to use a chatbot. It's good as well. Or if you guys are fans of Bus Uncle, you will have already been in touch with one of the most popular chatbots in Singapore. So Bus Uncle was actually launched as a hobby project by Abhilash. Abhilash is a developer. And so at that point of time, Facebook just launched the chatbot platform and he was very interested in it. So he felt like bus timing was something that he was very, very passionate about, because there's a big board and he doesn't want to see so many numbers. He just wants to know when is the exact bus he asked for coming. Therefore, it sort of started Bus Uncle Beta. So if you want to chat with Bus Uncle, you can scan the QR code below. And eventually, Bus Uncle became a business on its own. However, we actually dream much bigger. We want everyone to be able to build a chatbot like Bus Uncle. We want people to build chatbots that can speak with people, and it's not just something that is question answer, because people then fall off. One of the factors that contribute to Bus Uncle's success is that it's almost human-like. It's very entertaining. So we created BotDistrikt as a chatbot as a service platform so that you can build your own virtual human. So Abhilash will take over from here and we'll jump straight into the lesson plans.
Cool guys, so we got quite a lot of time to actually go hands-on. So how you'd actually go hands-on is you wouldn't have to download any software. The first thing you'd actually have to do is sign up for an account on BotDistrikt. So the first thing you please have to do is to go to botdistrikt.com. After you go onto the website, register for an account, you would have to verify your email. And once you verified your email, you'd be able to log in. So what we are going to do for today's lesson plan is very simple. We are going to be building a restaurants chatbot. So the reason we're going to be doing this is because we knew that with the COVID-19 crisis, quite a lot of F&B restaurants were affected. And we actually got a lot of inquiries from F&Bs asking us, is it possible to bring our menu online? Is it possible for us to connect to our customers online and get them to order online from us? And we thought it would actually be pretty cool if these restaurants had their own chatbots, right? So we're going to give you the opportunity to build your own F&B chatbot. So the tasks for today is quite simple. What we're going to be doing with your chatbot is you're going to be handling FAQs. you're going to be allowing users to make reservations at the restaurant, and you're going to allow users to download a PDF of the refund policy. So the items that you would actually require to build this chatbot are available on this URL under download assets here on my slide. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm actually going to be building out the chatbot on my screen as well. And you guys could probably follow along. So let's go to the page. So after you've actually logged in to BotDistrikt, you guys should be able to get a page similar to this. And what we are going to do is we're going to be adding a new bot. And the first thing we'll have to do when you add a new bot is, of course, you give it a name. A new baby is born, the first thing you think of is name. Similarly, you would do the same thing for a chatbot. So let's just call this the XYZ Foodscape chatbot. And we'd also have to give it a description. So just say, I am a bot that helps you look at my food, right? So once that's done, you just have to click on next step. Cool. So after you actually created your bot, you'd actually be taken to the second step, where you would actually have to create a greeting message for the bot. And in the greeting message, essentially, it's the first thing that the bot would ever tell your users after they initiate a conversation with the chatbot. So you can just say, hi, I'm a chatbot. I can help you order food, right? So after that, I'm just going to click on next step. And after you've set up your greeting, the next thing you'd actually have to set up is something called your fallback response. So every chatbot is made up of two basic components. One is the greeting and one is the fallback. So while the greeting is actually the first message your chatbot ever sends to your users, the fallback is something your bot will have to say if it does not understand what your user is trying to say. This is because not every chatbot out there is perfect, and every chatbot will have a domain of what they're knowledgeable about. But when users generally ask questions outside of this domain, it should be able to tell the user it's not understanding and bring the user back into the domain. So the most common way, or the most common thing that most chatbots say today is, sorry, I don't understand, which is not very specific, not very generic. So a good way to actually make your chatbot better is, please don't ever make your chatbot say, sorry, I don't understand by default. So one thing you can actually try to do is ask the users to say, I am only XYZ Foods chatbot and can only talk about food. Please type menu or something like that to browse my menu. So by doing this, you're not telling your users that you don't understand, but rather you're giving users the idea that you as a chatbot are within one single domain and you can only browse through the items in this domain. Next. So the next step generally is to connect your bots to Facebook Messenger, but because this might take a little longer, we're just going to skip this step. We'll be able to test the chatbot on the website itself. So I'm just going to click on skip. And finally, you'll be able to invite team members to be able to manage your chatbot. So if you're in a team, you're in a startup, you're in a company, you'd actually be able to invite team members at their own email, and all of you can manage this one chatbot together. And finally, when that's done, you would be over here, which is your chatbot's main personality page. So test chatbotscape food. So this is actually the name you would have given to your bot in the first place. If after you guys are here, now let's go back to our tasks to see what we need to do. So the first thing you'd actually have to do is answer FAQs, frequently asked questions. This is the most basic use case of a chatbot. Most people out there in the first version of a chatbot ever make a chatbot just answer very simple, frequently asked questions. So let's go into the link, the download assets link, and look for this file called FAQ document. And you'd actually be able to see this FAQ document titled here as XYZ Food Chatbot FAQs. So these are actually the questions that we're going to make the chatbot answer. Okay, so the first thing we'd have to ask is, what type of food do you sell? So how we'd actually make a chatbot know this kind of question is through this concept of rules. So we'd actually have to go into the rules tab over here on the left. And you notice that there's already an icon here called FAQ. And by default, we enable all bots on BotDistrikt to have this FAQ icon. So the first thing you'd want to do is you would want to click Add Rule to Group. Over here, you'd have to enter a description of the rule. So a description of a rule is just an explanation of what the chatbot's trying to answer here. So to make it simple, let's just say, what type of food do you want to sell? So this description can actually be anything you want. It doesn't have to exactly be what type of food here. So you can just call it, I don't know, cuisine if you want, or you can call it category if you want, right? So after you've done this, you'd have to click on add a condition. So a rule consists of several checks or several conditions, and it is only through these conditions that a chatbot is able to understand what the user is trying to say. So I'm going to click on add condition. What you'll actually get here is something by default. It'll say the user context message is checked, where text has keyword, what type of food do you want to sell? So for now, let's make this rule very simple, very linear, and very keyword based, right? Let's say if a user ever mentions the word type or cuisine, right, to the chatbot, then we would already know that the bot is categorizes this rule as what type of food do you want to sell. So by saying text has keyword cuisine and type, you're making the chatbot look for the word cuisine and type whenever user sends it a message. And by this, you'd have created a rule for cuisine and type. So you can think of rules as questions, or you can think of rules as a part of a conversation that the user is in and they're curious about. So once you've actually added this condition, what we now have to create is something called a story. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to click save, right? So the rule actually would need a story, and what you can actually do by default is just click this arrow on the right. And if you actually click on the arrow on the right, the rule would automatically create its story on its own. So you can think of stories as replies, what your bot would reply to your user with. These replies could have text, it could have images, and these replies could also have modifications of the bot's memory or modification of the bot's context, or in more advanced terms, if you're a developer, they can be API calls, they can be integrations with other business software like Salesforce. So a story is essentially, in its simplest term, your bot's replies, but a little more. It's a story with what the bot can say, but also what the bot can do. So what we'll do on the story is we click on add response. And after we click on add response, we are going to look at the answer for what type of food do you sell. XYZ food serves up a great range of classic and contemporary food. And what I'm going to do is, after I've clicked on the response, I'll just click on this box that says the bot replies with text and paste it over here. And that's it. So this is what the bot would say when it detects that the user sent a message with the keyword type and cuisine. So now I click on save. All right. So now what we want to do is, after we've created this rule, we'd want to test out the bot. So in order to test out the bot, you'll notice this small little robot icon on the bottom right of your page. This is actually your chatbot that you are building. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on get started. After I click on get started, the first thing I will actually see is the greeting message. Do you remember the greeting that we configured earlier on? So it says, hi, I'm a chatbot, I can help you order food. So now we added a rule for cuisine. So if I'm a user and I type, what cuisine do you serve? I get this answer. XYZ food serves up a great range of classic and contemporary international dishes. So let's say I ask the bot something that's not able to answer yet, right? Like, I don't know, what are your opening hours. We haven't added the rule for this yet. So if I type in something like this for now, it will give you the fallback. You remember the fallback that we considered, that we actually wrote before? It said, I'm only a food chatbot and I can only talk about food. So that's actually what's shown over here. So now no matter what you type, blah, 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 it's going to show that same fallback. We can discuss strategies for how a conversation would actually be better later on. But essentially a fallback is something your chatbot will say if it's not able to understand. Or in BotDistrikt's terms, if it does not fall within the rules scope here. Cool, so let's add the second question, which is what are your opening hours? If I go into rules, I can actually add a rule here and I can just type opening hours because this rule will describe the opening hours of the food, of the restaurant. So I'm just going to click on add condition. By default, it'll check if the text has keyword opening hours. You can think of other ways that users would actually ask the same question, right? Like what time do you close? Are you open on these days? So if you think of what time do you close, you can actually just type in close as a keyword here as well. Because if you think about it, if a user messages the word close to a restaurant chatbot, it's very likely that they're asking what time do you close. But it's not very likely that it could mean for other reasons. There could be a small possibility that they ask them, is your restaurant close to my house? But if you think about it, that's very rare. People generally ask what time do you close? So you can just put what close here as a keyword. So we've added that in. Now I'm just going to click on this arrow to create the story for opening hours. Similarly, I'm just going to take the answer from here. We are open on these days. I'm going to click on add a response and I'm going to click on paste. And after I've done this, I just have to click on save. So now if I actually look at the chatbot widget over here on the bottom right, I can click on reset chat and I can click on get started. And now I can ask, what time do you close? There. So now you get the answer. We are open from this time to this time. And if you go back to the first question we asked, what type of food do you serve? You get, we get a range of classic and contemporary international dishes. So FAQs 1 and 2 are done already. We've already made a chatbot that answers very simple basic questions here very quickly. So we still have a couple of other FAQs. I will actually give you guys your own time to actually build out these FAQs after the session. But for now, let's just consider for this session, FAQs is complete. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark it as orange to say that it's done. The second part is allowing users to make a reservation in a form. When a user wants to make a reservation on a chatbot, for example, just think of all the questions that a chatbot would ask them that would actually get their details so that the restaurant will know like all the details of the reservation. We actually have a function called forms on BotDistrikt itself that actually allows you to accept this kind of information. So forms is still in beta stage right now because we literally just launched this on Monday this week. So bear with us if you find any errors on this for now. But very simply put, let's create something called a reservation. And after you click on new form, you'd actually be taken to this page over here, and it will have created a sample form for you. Forms are very useful in chatbots for collecting user information. So when we talk about user information, we want to talk about things that we want to remember about every user messaging the bot. Forms are used in many different ways. If, for example, you're signing up on Singtel or signing up for a telco, they'd probably ask you questions like your NRIC, of course. That one would actually have to be inside your form. They'd also ask you questions like, do you want to port over an existing number? All these are questions that are relevant to the user themselves. So in this case, let's just make a reservation form, right, for the restaurant. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the name of the form to reservation form. The form starts with an intro message. So the first thing we have to do with any form is we have to tell the user that you are actually inside this new flow where we want to collect some information from you. So in this thing is actually called the intro message. So if you notice here, there's actually something weird. These two curly braces with user.firstname. So this is actually something called merge tags or variables that we actually add inside the BotDistrikt platform that allows you to get customized information from users. So if you type in hi user.firstname, no matter which user is speaking to your bot, whether they're from Facebook or from Telegram or from their website, you will always, this user.firstname will always change to the actual first name of the user. So we'll give you some more information on what other variables like this are available so you can customize messages to your users better. So let's say hi user.firstname, and then let's customize this text to sure, let us make a reservation, right? So the first question you actually want to ask for a reservation is let's remove what is your email address, and maybe let's ask what day which day would you like. So as you notice, as you type out these questions on the left, the preview actually gets updated on the right as well. So after you actually type out the question, you'll see something here called save to attribute. So we can think of attributes as metadata. They are essentially the descriptors of a certain piece of information about users. If I want to give an analogy of this, you can think of a table in Excel. When you create a table of people in Excel, every column is considered an attribute. So one column is first name would be an attribute. One column is gender would be an attribute. Address is an attribute. So let's save this to an attribute called reservation underscore day. So remember to add in this underscore. We have some specific conventions of how we store these attributes. Then let's change the type of questions to answer with text and quick replies. So because we know that there's only a few days, a user cannot type in any other day, let's change the answer to quick replies. So what are quick replies? Quick replies are actually buttons that you'd actually provide to the user so that instead of asking them to type out an entire answer, they can just click on a button and make it so much easier for them. So we can add quick replies. Maybe we can type in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's say the restaurant only accepts reservations on weekdays. So let's type in Mon, Tu, Wed, the Friday. And this is what it will look like to the user. Which day would you like? And they would have to click on any of this. Once they've clicked on that, it would be saved under their reservation day attribute. So then we have an option called validate here. Let's not add the validation yet. I'll add in the validation in the next question. I am going to click on add question, and I'm going to ask what time. Maybe just ask the chatbot what time. Very simple. So what day would you like? A user might have typed Monday. What type? We can save the attribute to reservation underscore time. Change it to quick replies again. Maybe give them a few options that they can select from. Let's say the restaurant only makes reservations from 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. Right? So the user could actually have to click on any of this. So now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to actually click on validate. So what is validate? What validation does is it ensures that the user always chooses one of the options from above over here. The user must select 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Otherwise, if the validation is actually selected, if a user types in 10 p.m., for example, the chatbot would actually tell the user to please select from these options. So by doing this, we actually ensure that the user only selects the options that are available and not any random options that they type in themselves. So validation is a good way to ensure that when a user enters details in a form, it's very standardized and it fits your own rules specifically. And finally, let's ask a question, how many people? Save to attribute, reservation, people. Let's just leave this as text. We don't need to add in quick replies because we don't want to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way to 20 or so. Leave it as text so that they can type in the number of people themselves and you'd be good to go. Finally, when that is done, what you'd actually get is something called a completion message. So when the form is ready, when the user has actually filled out their reservation flow, the chatbot has to tell the user that it has completely got all the information that it needs from the user for this specific form. So let's say, thanks for making this reservation. It is confirmed. See you soon. And that's it. So this is actually how our form will look like. So if you look at the preview, a user would actually be seeing something like this when they make a reservation. Which day would you like? Select the day, what time, select the time, how many people. Reservation people is just an example of something that they would actually have to type out. And finally, thanks for making this reservation is confirmed. So the last part of a form, of the reservation form, is the keyword triggers. So what this keyword triggers does is it actually allows you to specify keywords that a user would have to type for them to start this form. The lowest common denominator here, or the most common word here, is the word reservation. Right? So let's just type out reservation over there. Now, if a user actually types in reservation, they would actually be able to see this form. Once that's done, I'm going to click on publish. Yes. Cool, so the form was created and now we actually have a reservation form ready. So are you guys ready to test it out? Cool, so let's test it. This chatbot on the bottom right, I'm gonna click on get started. And now I can just type it as a user. I want to make a reservation. There we go. Now the chatbot says, hi, Abhilash, sure, let's make a reservation. So if you notice, user.firstname got replaced with Abhilash, which is the name that I had actually put when I registered an account on the BotDistrikt platform. It asks me which day do you want. I can say maybe I want to make a reservation for Friday. What time? So if you remember, when we go back to the reservation form, we actually turned on validation for time. So now if the chatbot provides 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m., and as a user, I say 10 p.m., for example, the chatbot would say, please enter from one of these options, 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. So the user would actually have to select one of these options if they want to move forward. So then I'll say, okay, sure, 9 p.m. How many people? 5. And done. It'll say, thanks for making this reservation. It is confirmed. See you soon. And cool, so the reservation is made. Now, how will the restaurant know their reservation details? So if you remember these attributes that we added before called reservation day, reservation time, and reservation people, these are actually answers that are stored on the user level. So if you'd want to know about the reservation of users, very simply put, you'd have to go into the users tab on the BotDistrikt platform. So I have a user here called Abhilash, of course, because I'm the only one messaging this bot right now. If I click into the user and I look at something called attributes, I can see there's something called reservation day is Friday, reservation time is 9 p.m., and reservation people is 5. So as users actually build out this bot, and as you have like all the users messaging the restaurant, maybe 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people messaging the restaurant bot, all this reservation information gets stored on the user's dashboard, and essentially the bot would have the reservation information about all of these users directly. Yeah, so that's it. So we've created a form. We're done with part 2, and that was quite fast. That was quite easy. We will mark it as orange. One thing I hadn't mentioned before is what Forms does is it actually auto-generates rules and stories for you. So if you go back into your Forms page and you notice that the reservation form was published, you go back into the rules page, you'll notice that there's a new group of rules here called reservation form. If you open up this reservation form, you'd actually see all these rules that were generated by the reservation form automatically. So BotDistrikt, in its simplest atomic ways, works on rules and stories. Forms is just a way to automate creating these rules and stories in a very linear way, in a very fixed way. So all these are auto-generated for you. If you'd want to actually customize this reservation form to, for example, to add in images of the restaurant, images of the menu, you want to add in a lot more questions that are not just text, but maybe a video of your restaurant as well. What you can actually do is you can go into the stories that were created from the reservation form, right? And you can actually click on add response and add in things like images and cards. You can actually customize this form even further. But in its simplest term, what Forms did was it actually created these rules and stories for you. Cool. So now let's go on to the final part of the chatbot, which is send a PDF of the refund policy. Let's say, for example, a user wants to complain and ask about refunds, right? So what we'd actually want to make the chatbot do is whenever the user asks for a refund, we would want to send the user our refund policy from this restaurant. So what we can do is I'm just going to go here and maybe let's say it's a frequently asked question. So I'm just going to open up FAQs, click on add rule to a group, and I'm just going to type in refund. Then I click add condition. So this means that user actually sends a message with the word refund in it, like I want a refund or something like that. And once that's done, let's click on the arrow to create the refund story. Just gonna click on yes. And then I'm going to click on add response. And let's make the chatbot say, please review our refund policy, right? And now what we want to do is we want to make the chatbot send a PDF of the refund policy. So if you go into the assets drive from the URL, you notice there's a PDF here called return and refund policy. Let me just download this and go back to BotDistrikt. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on add response. And now because what I'm actually going to send the user is actually the document itself, I'm going to change the response type to document. So you can think of document as a file from your computer that you want to send to the user. So just select the response type to document and drag and drop the refund document over here and click on save. And once that's done, let's just reorder the text over here. So essentially the chatbot would say, please review our refund policy and give them a PDF of the document. So now as a user, if I click on reset chat, I'm just going to click on get started and say, I want a refund, right? The chatbot will say, please review our refund policy and give them a file. If they click on this file, they will get the refund policy. Cool, that's it. That's done. So part 3 is done. Very, very fast. Mark it as orange to say that it is done. We just went through the first parts of building a chatbot. You guys actually have more time to go and try to display a menu of food items and using small talk as well. So if you want, we can actually go through this together later on. But for now, because time doesn't permit, let's not do this for now. All right, so I hope you guys had been able to build a very, very simple, basic chatbot for your XYZ food restaurant. Very simple, very quick. Of course, the actual chatbot will have a lot more questions it would want to answer for the users. It will also want to have maybe like a menu of all the food items available. So that's just a very basic template of a bot. So now let's move on to the next part of the presentation, which is AI for chatbots. Right, so what is AI? So AI actually stands for artificial intelligence. It is actually a superset idea to say that machines would actually be able to think and make decisions on their own. So when we think of AI for chatbots, we only talk about natural language understanding. What this means is that chatbots today only use AI to understand what users are trying to say, but chatbots do not use AI to say new things to users. So basically, if someone says, I have a smart chatbot with AI, essentially what they're trying to say is, I have a chatbot that uses AI to understand my users. A chatbot that uses AI to say new things, because that's not possible and that's very not mature today. We can say that this would actually be more mature maybe in the next 2 to 5 years or so. But for now, when we talk about AI, it's just about understanding, just about learning to listen, using AI to categorize and understand what users are saying. So AI for chatbots is used in NLU, natural language understanding. This allows you to train your chatbot to understand what users are trying to say. And essentially how it's done with chatbots today is there are lots of tools available that actually allow your chatbot to use AI. So if you actually try to play around with chatbots or research on chatbots or build out chatbots before, you would definitely have come across some of these tools. So there's a tool called Dialogflow, which is an AI engine from Google, a tool called Wit.ai, which is an AI engine from Facebook. You have IBM Watson as well. And what these do is they allow you to actually look at the messages that are coming in from the user and extract useful information from these messages into these new terms called entities and intents. I won't really go into the nitty-gritty of it because it could take a much longer time. But if you actually have a chatbot on BotDistrikt, you can connect to any or all of these AI engines to make your chatbot understand users better. So in AI for chatbots, this is actually a very simple playground thing that we created to allow you to actually have small talk in your chatbot. So one of the most basic problems we have with chatbots today is they can't really small talk. You say hello to a chatbot, it says, sorry, I don't understand. You say thank you, it says, sorry, I don't understand. Hello, thanks, goodbye, haha. All of these are actually considered like small talks that people would actually message the bot without thinking too much about it, but they actually expect the chatbot to small talk back. So what I'm going to do now for this workshop is I'm just going to do something really quick, which is I'm going to actually create an AI integration with Dialogflow and make our chatbot handle small talk. So I'm going to copy this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to download this file. Okay, guys, so yeah, we'll just be able to get this file. Just click on download to get this file. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my chatbot, test chatbot, and I'm going to go into integrations. Yes, I'd like to save my changes. I would actually click on Dialogflow here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag and drop the file that I just downloaded into this thing. So I'm going to drag it and drop it over here. And done. So now I've actually been able to integrate my chatbot with my Dialogflow account, which is preloaded with some small talk that I had added previously. So I'm going to click on import responses. And what import responses does is it actually creates the rules and stories for the small talk. So you remember we talked about rules and stories before. Essentially, these are the foundation of every chatbot on BotDistrikt. They work on rules, which are like questions, and stories, which are answers. And once that's done, you have imported responses successfully. And now our chatbot should actually be able to small talk with users. So I'm just going to click on the chatbot on the bottom right, and I'm going to say, I don't know, good morning. And the chatbot reply with good morning, how are you today? I can say, how are you? The chatbot will say, doing great, thanks. I can say, thanks. And the chatbot says, anytime, that's what I'm here for. So this is actually like small talk that users generally message chatbots with. Most chatbots are not able to answer this very well or don't do this very well. We make it as simple as dragging and dropping a file to make this work across all of our chatbots on BotDistrikt. Yeah, so now we've actually integrated an AI module to handle small talk into the chatbot directly. And that's it. So we're done with building out your very simple basic chatbot. And we hope that you guys were actually able to play around with your bot account today. We apologize for any of you who still were not able to create your account or had some issues building out your account. But if you actually join the Facebook group, please ask us questions over there, and we'll actually help you build out things on your chatbot there directly. So yeah, so all attendees of the workshop will have their BotDistrikt bot for free until 13 September 2020. You can feel free to play around with the entire platform. We have some very extensive documentation of the platform as well. If you notice there's a help icon on top of the platform, just click on help and you get a lot more documentation about how to use rules, stories, responses. All these are different concepts that are used to build out your chatbot directly. And that's it. Any other questions, join our Facebook group and ask us our questions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Abhilash and Yin Yin. I will take it over from here. I think you guys must be really tired from running the whole workshop already. But yeah, thank you so much. I think it was super fun. I was kind of doing it as well, like a little bit here and there, trying to look at chat and everything. But yeah, so maybe if time permits and if you guys are okay with it, maybe we can answer 1 or 2 questions from Q&A if that's okay. Yeah, so if I could bother you guys to maybe just take a look and then maybe you could choose some questions in there. Yeah, so most questions are about the chatbot stuff, and I understand that they can just go on the community group and kind of ask these questions, and maybe they can get you guys can get back to them. So we can choose to answer those questions, or we can choose to answer other questions. I see people asking if there's difference in making chatbots for other platforms such as Telegram and Discord and those kind of things. Yeah, so maybe just take a look and see which question you would like to answer. There are quite a few.
Let me just look at the questions. So the first question is there any difference in making a chatbot for other platforms, from Telegram to Discord? There's many different messaging apps which support chatbots today. So if on the base level of it, when it comes to logic, when it comes to the questions and answers, every chatbot is the same in its simplest form. So the platform does have some specific functionality that could make it more unique to the platform. For example, on Telegram, you have something called inline keyboards. So what inline keyboards are on Telegram is a set of buttons that actually appear below messages themselves. And this set of buttons could be up to maybe 9 or 10 buttons for every single message that the chatbot gives a user. So this is something that's available only on Telegram. It's not available on Facebook. So you can actually make a chatbot a little different on Telegram on Facebook, for example. Another example, you have something called reactions. So you're actually able to heart a message. You're actually able to add a laughing emoji to a message that a chatbot sends you. This is something, for example, you cannot do on platforms. So yes, different platforms have functionalities. Okay, so one of the last question we see here is how and where do you export the chatbot? So essentially, when you build out a bot on BotDistrikt, you're actually able to download a save file of your bot. To actually get this save file, you actually have to go into personality and scroll down to a button called export bot. When you click on export bot, it will download a save file of this bot. And when you create another account on the BotDistrikt platform, you can just import the save file and all your settings will be there directly. Let me try to answer some questions about chatbot experience in general. Okay, cool. So most questions are actually about the platform itself. So, okay, one of the questions we asked is how will BotDistrikt differ with another chatbot platform? If you just Google ManyChat, you can see that it's quite a popular chatbot platform out there as well. Some other popular ones are ChatFuel. There's also FlowXO. There's a few other chatbot platforms that allow you to build out these chatbots. So how we actually differentiate ourselves is we make our chatbots primarily focus on user experience. So while ManyChat gives you a very nice flow builder, a very nice way to create linear conversations through a flow chart, what you notice is when you actually try out these chatbots, a user would have to follow this flow chart. If a user types in a question outside of this flow chart, many chatbot generally cannot understand. So what we've noticed with most other chatbot platforms out there is they're very linear, or they have to follow a very fixed flow. But when you build out a chatbot on BotDistrikt, you can either make it linear with forms, or you can make it non-linear with your own rules and stories. So on BotDistrikt, you actually don't build out an entire conversation. We build out entire conversation with forms functionality. But with rules and stories, you can make your chatbot answer small talk, jump into another part of the chatbot, like your menu, add items to cart, check out, do some small talk again, and maybe ask the chatbot what time of the day it is, and then go back into checkout. So it's not very linear. On BotDistrikt, we specialize in non-linear flows. So essentially, rules and stories allow your chatbot to be more dynamic in this way. Let's try to answer one last question. So the question comes after you create them. So after you've actually published a form, you're not actually able to edit the form anymore. You'll notice that when you click on publish form, you'll get a warning that says publishing this form will generate its rules and stories, but you will not be able to edit this form anymore. Why this happens is because when you create a form, the platform automatically creates the rules and stories for your bot. But if you want to add in more questions to your rules and stories, we actually encourage you to go directly into the rules and stories tabs and customize it yourself from there. We kind of look at forms as a very simple way to start a conversation. But when you want to edit it further, or when you want to add more questions, we recommend you to actually go into rules and stories themselves. If, for example, you've created a form and you want to make other edits to it, like you really don't want to go into rules and stories, what you can do is you can actually click on duplicate form. So you'll see like a clone button or a copy button on the form. Then you can just edit it there directly. So yeah, so I think those are some of the questions we'd like to answer.
Awesome.
Other questions are more detailed, so we can discuss them after on email or on a.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abhilash and Yin Yin, once again. Thank you so much, guys, for doing the post-event poll and for making time to come down for this session. For our speakers as well, Abhilash and Yin Yin, thank you so much for doing this whole workshop. I think it was really fun for everybody, and it's nice to see everyone being very involved in the whole workshop and really asking questions. Yeah, as we've mentioned, continue to try out the platform. You do have it for 1 month, so keep going at it. If you have any questions, you can go to the Facebook page, the Facebook community page, and send it over. Don't worry, all the links shared today will be shared to you via an email that will go out right after you exit this session. So don't worry about taking things down or remembering anything. Yeah. So I think that's really about it. Thank you so much, guys, once again, for coming down. That is the end of our session. Please do remember, as again, join the Facebook group, continue using the platform. And yeah, Ying also shared her email and Abhilash's email in the chat. So if you want, please go and reach out to them. I think it's very kind of them that they have, gave their emails to everyone. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Bye and have a good night.